Hey, my name is PolishLynx, welcome to the irae. Let's get fast to it. A melting consciousness merging with another. I, myself, and we fused together into a single mode of something. I was losing all sense of reality. My cognitive functions gave out. The perception of light and sound, as well as the sensation of taste, pain, and happiness, all be moved to a realm beyond my comprehension. I merely existed, as a lifeless carcass shackled by the inner chains of eternity. One of myself once felt love, another a new hope, the third possessed pride. Yet our glass remained empty, our accomplishments hollow. We were but a miserable, empty shell. But before long, one remembered love, another recalled forsaken hope, while the third began to lament the failure of his dreams. Therefore, this wretch of a being doomed to remain hollow managed to lay its hands on air. In other words, regret unified and shaped our hearts. One recalled remorse, another wolf never forget, while the third engraved deep upon our shell. Unpitying, stagnant remnant of a life lost in shadow, a curse embedded in the flesh. Soon we would meet in a single wave of raging chaos. Should our destiny be set in stone, should it be our fate to live as part of the beast, we wished our grudge to at least bear fruit before the end claimed us. Here's out, O Lord and Master of the Golden Chaos, do you comprehend our ardor?
무론.
The man's directionless voice boomed heavy in the throne room.
愛、増快、悲憤、嘆き。ケイラの魂は実に甘い。あれとよく似通っている。ゆえ、手出しはせん。その望みとやらがどう転ぶかに関しては。前座だが悪くない。似た者同士、願いの天秤が果たしてどちらに傾くか。私も単純に興味がある。少なくとも、この続きと同程度にはな。
The man of golden locks cast his gaze upon the chessboard as a wry smile graced his lips. Countless defeated pawns lay scattered in it, with the knights all but immobilized, yet still it was early to declare the checkmate. Next to the king loomed a bishop, a rook, and the queen, all unscathed. Passing them would be no trifling task. In truth, the devour displayed fighting so fervent and line so chaotic that no single glance could ascertain the advantageous side. Even an expert would have to think twice before making the next move, and thus the man of golden locks too had yet to determine the victor of the game. For despite appearances, he had not been playing against himself. It was a match frozen in time for 60 years following the abrupt disappearance of one of the players. The man had considered thousands of moves, millions of combinations, yet the conclusion of the game eluded him still. However,
あるいは、K なら見えているのではないか?
Maybe. After 6 long decades, the man finally made a move. The black bishop knocked the impertinent white knight off the table.
さて、となればどうする? さよう。
In that very moment, a shadow manifested in the desolate throne room. It appeared out of thin air, without warning, a phenomenon that ignored all the known laws of the physical world. And perhaps precisely because of this otherworldliness, the beast, to whom the aberrations which must have been abrupt, did not even bat an eye. For the sheer impossibility of the event made it easy to forget that the man was not in the room for the whole time. The two exchanged no long due greetings, nor made any comments on all the lost time. They merely carried on with their game in the most matter-of-fact way possible.
私のポーンがビショップを指してなり、だがあなたのクイーンがそれを打つ。
そして K はキャスリング。となれば、私のクイーンと K のルークは共に落ちるか。
しかり。そして8手後にチェックだ、獣殿。あなたのルークは単身動きすぎて、キングを守る前に分断が可能ゆえ。
つまり、最後までクイーンを温存させた K の価値か。なるほど。終わってみればあっけないな、カール。
いかにも。 ご不満ですかな？
いいや。
Reinhard Heinrich looked down upon the chessboard that betrayed or perhaps confirmed his expectations with a faint smile.
これで私は何杯目になる？
115杯になりますかな。ただ誤解しないでいただきたいが、別に私が卓越した打ち手というわけではない。
つまり、私の程度が低いということだろう？仕方あるまい。もともとこの手の遊戯は性に合わん。
とおっしゃるより、負けたいのでしょう、あなたは。
ほう。
Enjoying the conversation itself rather than the meaning behind each word, Reinhard totally set on his side. Meanwhile, his sole friend and companion, the shade clad in obsidian, considered him with an ambiguous smile.
変わらんな、カール。その軽口も健在で何よりだ。もっとも、いつぞやの誓いを忘れているのだとしたら、失望者だぞ。我ら次にまみえる時こそ、互いの目的を成就させると言った。あの日の K はどこに行った？
それについてはいくつか理由もありますが、まず一つ、こんなものは引き伸ばすべきではないと思ったので。
His voice rang with sentiment as he overlooked the remnants of their match, a dubious excuse considering it took him 6 years to put an end to the game, yet the beast did not appear to mind.
まあもっとも、それはあなた次第であるとも言えるが。
He paused for a moment, toying with the black knight he picked up from the board. Had Reinhard decided to sacrifice this piece 6 years ago, their match would have ended in a draw.
もともとの敗因はこれ。あなたが負けたがりであるということは、これを捨てた事実からもよくわかる。
それはシュライバーのことを言っているのか？
さて、どうだか。ただ私がこの一手で場を辞した意味、わからぬあなたでもなかったろうに。
不毛な論議だな、カール。見える予想から意図的に外すのも、また予想通りであると言えるだろう。
It wasn't antimony doomed to lead them in circles. The assumption that the back of the pack would constitute the front, as long as one could not foretell the fidelity of either choice before matters transpired. It was impossible to judge who had been right. Mercurius, most likely aware of that fact himself, continued toying with the chess piece between his fingers, voicing no words of dispute. Soon the Black Knight in his hand turned to a blood-stained eye patch.
彼はいずこに？
今はこの城に溶けておろう。大方ふてくされておるのであろうが、それもまた仕方あるまい。別段あれに非などない。ルベド、ニグレド、彼らもしかり。
あなたの一部であるゆえに？
言わんや他のすべてもな。あれらがどこで何をしようが、それは私の意志の一端。万丈、宇宙はここにあるのだ。
では、これもですかな。
Reinhard narrowed his eyes as the shade before him picked up the black bishop, his lips twisting into a mischievous smile.
K はそれが気に入らんか？
いいえ、むしろ好ましくさえ思っていますよ。好ましすぎて思わず手助けなどしたくなる。ゆえ、次回の意味も込めてこうして参上した次第。
なるほど。それが第二の理由か。
Reinhard abruptly rose to his feet.
私も K と同感だ。あれが好ましく、愛しくさえある。茶番だが、遂げさせてやりたいと思う気持ちに偽りはない。
つまり、予想通りに生かすか生かせぬか。
実に悩ましい問題だろう。どうするべきか私にもわからぬよ。結末がこれと同様、ああそうかと思うだけではつまらぬし、かといって逆も同じ。
だがあなたは以前こうおっしゃった。傍観するだけでは何もつかめぬと。その言葉を思い出した以上、座して待つわけにもいきますまい。
かしそれを言うのなら、K はこうも言っていたぞ。私が関わると、物語は退屈な様相を帯び始めるとな。
Despite little like water leaking through a collapsing dam, laughter began to fill the throne room of the castle. Okay, a hard lavish cackle that celebrated all jubilance in the world, a loud guffaw, befitting champions that would unconditionally invigorate the very souls of their gallery with glee. If the leader of an army unveiled a display of such mirth, every single warrior under his command, no matter how inexperienced, would forget how to feel dread even the most devastating of battles. The two men, demon lords in the every sense of the word, found each other after 6 long decades of slumber, and the world would tremble at their coming. A lion's solitary step would annihilate 1,000 tons. Those crawling upon the earth could never hope to catch the hawk soaring through the clouds. Hope itself, the last of Pandora's secrets, shattered into myriad pieces. The omen signaling the advent of a hellish scenario.
だがカール、K の本音は他にもあろう。第3、あるいは第4の理由がな。この程度のことで上がるほど腰の軽い男ではあるまい。
いかにも。
いつぞや言っていた女絡みか。
否定はできぬ身。
頂上。ならば好きにするがよい。私の好きな愚かさだ。
Mercurius raised an eyebrow in response to Reinhardt's passionate stare.
あなたもまた見守りたい愛とやらがある様子だが。
わかるか？
さよう。これと天秤にかけておられる。
In other words, the very casing of Citrinitas, a deliberate obstacle. Overcoming it had been one of the criterions that would sway their future choices like a tempest. And therefore,
まあ、見せていただこう。私の都合にも少なからず関わる問題。その点で言えば興味も尽きぬ。ああ。つまりお前たちに期待しているということだよ。我らの親愛なるエインフェリア。
Mercurius stood up, gazing down upon the two silhouettes, Rubedo and Nigredo, that had manifested at the step of the throne kneeling. He proceeded down the steps and, placing a hand on both their shoulders, whispered barely audible phrase.
お前の愛はどう転ぶか。
Eleanor answered with silence.
あなたの信念は結実を見るか。
Mahina stared back at him with empty eyes.
そう嫌うものでもあるまい。手助けをしてやろうというのに。
不要。
俺はお前を信じぬ。
Reinhardt, still sitting on the throne, regarded his subjects with a smile, showing no hint of wanting to reprimand them for the insolent behavior they exhibited in response to his sworn friend.
話してやれカール。それでは彼ら、建前よ。
おや、そこまでやわに作った覚えはないが。
The next moment, Flames held his right hand, while his left simply vanished. The eyes of the commander straightened to grind him to dust, yet Mercurius merely answered them with a smile. Did the man feel no pain, or could the structure of his limbs be no more than a farce? No soul could tell what his obsidian cloak veiled. He merely gazed at the two rascals with delight in his eyes.
結構、可愛らしい歓迎、痛み入る。では二人とも、まだいくらか時間はあろう。それまで城の案内などを頼まれてくれると嬉しいが。別に問題はありますまい、獣殿。
ああ。元より K の作った城だろう。自らのせいか。暇つぶしに見物でもしていればよい。
Heeding their master's command, the two captains stood up and followed after the black shades. Their faces remained emotionless and cold as steel, revealing nothing of the inner workings of their minds. Only one aspect about them was certain, that they could not rebel against the orders of the beast. Reinhardt seemed to have abruptly remembered something as his gaze followed the receding bags from atop the throne.
時に変わる。先ほど言っていた私次第というのはどういう意味だ？
The Black Shade certainly uttered something to the extent as he claimed victory in their game of chess, a game that proved a dual sham in his respect.
あの状態から局面を覆す手を私は見落としていたのかな？
それは至極簡単な手を。
Mercurus glanced over his shoulder, prompting Eleanor to swiftly avert her gaze. Meanwhile, Machina had never looked in the Shade's direction to begin with. There was something in the man's visage that incited aversion and fury, something that should never have been perceived by sane eyes. A devilish face even the two captains knew better than to look upon directly. Even the iron chains of self-restraint that otherwise prevented any shameful display in front of their master turned to elastic strings when confronted by that sheer vileness, the kind even an Enheriar had difficulty stomaching. Thus, the obsidian Mercury addressed the only one who could keep his eyes upon him, and with a smile no less.
子供の論理、番ごとひっくり返してしまえばよい。あなたにはそれができる。
Had he done so, all the pieces on the board, Fools and allies alike would have shattered to dust, leaving only the Black King standing tall and unscathed.
万軍を凌駕する短期。そのような王がいる時点で兵法など意味はない。お分かりかな、獣殿。
なるほどな。
He could have simply overturned an unsatisfying conclusion, destroying everything before finally starting anew. The omnitude of all matters in the universe had been mirrored upon their chessboard.
だが実際、番と駒程度で済めばいいがな。
であれば、壊したことがないものを見つけるまで、お付き合いしよう。悪くない。
After all, their day of wrath entailed just that. An hour of final judgment, with heaven and earth in ashes ending, the beast could not hold back, nor would he need to.
ではお互い、今しばし最後の前座を観覧するといたしましょう。どう転んだところで、実にいじらしい見せ物になりましょうから。
Mercurus turned to leave, proceeding out of the hall as the two Enheriar, Sombre and Crimson, followed after him. Reinhardt considered the destroyed chessboard one last time before melting the air, leaving behind only a lone snicker. The grim lamentation of a wraith reverberated across the deserted throne room. I myself and we had all refused together. For us there was no turning back. Not anymore. Sorry. Alright, phone call answered, everything answered, let us continue. Well, I know what it was about, you don't need to. Sorry. Anyway. Thus we wished at least for her to be freed from this fate. And so we prayed. Longing for the sweet embers of death to take us. Chapter 12. Fortress Fortuna Juvat, well, Fortress Fortuna Juvat, whatever.
いやあ、あんたの言う通りやったけど、私どれだけ親不孝者なのよ。自分家に火つけちゃったりなんかして。
No, they do not.
は？そりゃそうだけどさ。さすがにここまでやっちゃうと親父に顔向けできないっつうか。
I'm sure they love you.
こりゃもうあんたうちの婿養子にでもなってくんないと割り合わないよ。あ？うるさいバカ。私は別に影を嫌ってるわけじゃないって言ったでしょ。
Exasperation battled resignation in Ellie's mind as she spoke in the receiver. At the same time, for a hint of cheerfulness could be clearly heard in her voice.
まあとにかく信用問題もあるからさ。今後経営が厳しくなったら責任取ってよ。そりゃ確かにここでドンパチやられるよりはマシっつっても所詮それだけの話だかんね。
The incessant calls of police sirens and fire trucks filled the streets. The town's largest hotel had suffered major fire with no determinable cause. All in all, certainly enough of a reason to cause a rocket, especially in a town already on edge in the wake of several unusual incidents. Eddie had also posted a bomb threat online just in case. That would likely keep the place shut down for at least a day or two. The patients and the hospital staff were already being evacuated.
現場検証の警察とかまで追い出すのはさすがに無理くさいけど、あの連中はそういう仕事だしね。最悪巻き込まれて殉職してもご愁傷様ということで。あんたさ、本当に感謝してるわけ？なんかめっちゃ適当に流してない？
いや、よくやったぜエリー。さすが俺の見込んだ女は違う。だからあんまガミガミ言うなよ。大事の前って言葉もあんだろ。
Shiro seemed unaware of the scale of the events his actions had caused, although the drugs he took to stay on his feet slurred his speech. It was likely not the cause of his lack of self-awareness.
先輩はいるかい？代わってくれよ。
After a few more symbolic complaints, Ellie handed the phone to the girl standing beside her.
よう、今からあんたんちぶっ壊されるかもしんないけど、別にいいだろ。最悪っつうか最善っつうか、とにかくどう転んでもあそこただじゃ済まねえし、明日っからホームレスになる確率大だけど、そうなったら俺らが面倒見てやっから。これが終わったらパーッと行こうぜ。なーに心配すんなって。勘だが多分うまくいくよ。
Despite his looks, Rara knew Shiro to be a man of his word, but at the same time, she could not help wondering what his definition of fine was. In the end, she could not muster the courage to ask.
わかったよ。私と彼女はここで待ってる。シロ、あんた置いてかれたからって、あの二人にしょうもないいたずらしようとか思ってんじゃないでしょうね。
ああ？聞こえんな。なんだって？
いや、だからさ。もうほっときなさい。ユサくん、バカなんだから。藤井くんもバカだし、桜井さん脳みそ筋肉だし、綾瀬さんは、まあ、
ああ、はいはい。そういうのの続きはまた後で。とにかく、今挙げたメンツが生きてりゃ文句はないんだろ？頑張ってみっから、そうブツブツ言いなさんなって。
私は別に。とりあえず、一番行きそうなのはあんただっていう居残り組の意見も忘れずに。
With his wounds, Shiro would normally have been chained to bed and dragged to sleep, not left to loiter around on his own. His body might not have been exactly normal, but neither was it made of steel. It wouldn't hold for long. Still, Shiro merely shrugged his shoulders, turning a deaf ear to the girl's warning.
なのんきに日和見決めてられる状況でもねえっつの。
Never in his life had Shiro been faced with a chance to be part of this much action. When else was he going to do that, if not now?
ま、正面からぶち当たる役はあいつらに譲るとしても。
Both of them were impulsive and incredibly single-minded. Shiro had doubts they could focus their attention on anything other than what was right in front of them once shit hit the fan. Which also meant they needed someone that specialized in covert operations, a trump card that moved on its own.
じゃ、行ってくるぜ。なんか気合が入るようなこと言えよ、エリー。
無事帰ってきたら、私の処女をあげちゃうとか？
If you ask me, that was perfect.
んなもん一生取っとけ。先輩は？
私の胸を揉ませてあげる剣、13枚。
That's also good.
揉むほどねえだろ、あんたのは。
Ouch. Shiro's grin widened. The ability to remain level-headed in a situation as well as an ever-present tendency for playing around numbered among the strongest weapons in a young man's arsenal. It was unclear whether the guards were simply going with the flow or were good at coping with tough situations themselves. Still, the three managed to preserve their usual laid-back atmosphere. Shiro genuinely appreciated the lack of any forced doom and gloom. After all, they already had people in their group specializing in anger and depression. He had to balance them out.
なあ、クソシリアスなのはそっちに任すぜ。
Shiro, already treading the hill path leading to the church, gave the two girls trudging along in front of him a careful wink. He realized that this was the place where it all began for him. and it would also serve as the stage of their final. He found amusing how conveniently things fell into place at times.
じゃあな、エリー、先輩。今夜でしまいだ。
We might not end this delightful. If you catch my drift, skipping the episode, moving to the next episode. The idea filled him with a momentary hint of melancholy, for the excited sense of expectation soon washed it clear away. He was certain an answer to his question would grace him by the time the night was out. Shiro had a peculiar feeling, one might call it foreknowledge, that he, as a man not as directly involved with matters as Ren or Kay, could consequently come closer to the truth than those two. An average man would interpret it as an omen of death, paving the way to the gallows. He would meet and perceive something not meant for mortal eyes. He would make contact with Taboo incarnate. Shiro had a clear feeling, no, a conviction that it would happen tonight. Tonight is the night. Things turned out so much like I had anticipated that I didn't even need time to take in the situation. My mind was made in an instant. We reached our final destination, running straight into the Tubalcain, blocking the entrance to the church. His giant dead frame towered over us like a wall, his abominable mark partly visible through the cracked mask he wore. Sakura's voice gave a slight tremble, a clear sign of the turmoil raging in her heart beneath her cool exterior. She couldn't stop herself from addressing him. In her mind, reason fought a losing battle against the memories invoked by the giant's visage, an abomination that once was her brother. Given our promise, she wished she could see the dead man as a silent piece of furniture, a failed career unable to think by itself, a puppet by the name of Tubalcain, no more, yet still she called out to him, hoping for an answer. Her inability to resist committing such a meaningless action stood testament to the strength of their family bond. It was a palpable manifestation of the love in her heart, as irrational as it was self-contradictory. A volatile emotion I had not been used to sink in Sakurai, yet at the same time it felt very much like her. And so... I truly hope she wouldn't have to hear the dreadful voice. A voice that contained a century's worth of malice and fully spilled forth from the dead thing's lips, like a curse echoing from the depths of hell. It was the voice of brother addressing his sister. And so I took a step forward, unable to allow him to hurt Sakurai. That was one thing I could never allow to happen.
賭けは俺の勝ちだ、桜井。お前はとっとと行っちまえ。
でも
邪魔なんだよ、お前がいると。
私は。
うるせえ。
My inner voice begged Sakurai to get out of here as soon as possible. What I just said triggered the countdown. It was only a matter of time until Kain went completely mental. His teeth clattered, his muscles creaked, he became intent, sickening and vile like rotten poos. Filled the air all around us. I felt as if the thing's eyes, despite being sewn shut, had been drilling a hole into me. I pushed the dumbfounded Sakurai out of the way.
走れ、このバカ野郎!
Say what? Kain's blade came at me in the blink of an eye, causing the asphalt below to shatter and cave in, leaving a small crater.
こいつ
The dead freak moved even faster than before. He might not have been as quick as Schreiber, but his attacks packed far more punch. I couldn't keep parrying cannonballs.
何してやがる行けっつったの
I couldn't divert the force of the blow that well after losing time pushing Sakurai out of the way. The wave of it sent me to my knees, pinning me to the ground. I thought my Once again I wanted to say spinner. I thought my spine might break. The palpable wrath and bloodlust emanating from Kain made the air so vicious I could barely breathe. The thing had seriously gone completely mental. Was it a vengeful fixation or sheer lunacy driving him? Probably both. His resentment and seething emotions turned into a gale, digging into my skin. Still, I knew there was one thing I couldn't allow to happen, no matter what. I couldn't let Sakurai watch this any longer. Her idiotic notion that this thing was her brother would doubtless drive her to insanity as well.
ふざけやがって
The thing likely didn't know or possessed the capacity to comprehend that the girl standing dumbfounded before him despite having been told to flee was his own sister. She might be mistaken, but the piece of shit could have at least shown some tact and not gone mercy in front of a guy who called him brother. Pouring all my strength into the guillotine, I somehow managed to brush off the great sword before it completely flattened me. Its giant blade crashed into the asphalt right next to me, splitting it apart. If killing the bastard a second time was necessary to calm him down, I'd gladly do it. Using the inertia from Kain's blade to spin around, I diverted a roundhouse kick straight to his face.
なんだよ俺が勝っちゃ不満かお前
My kick swept Kain off the ground, making him crash in the woods of the road, taking several trees along with him as he fell. My physical pulse seemed to have risen again, likely because I had activated my creation figment.
けど心配すんなあの程度じゃ終わらねえよ
I knew I delivered a reasonably powerful kick. I felt his skull and neck bone shatter under my shoe. I also knew it wouldn't be enough. The only way to defeat an wielder would be with a direct hit from Achnenerbe. Besides, the freak was already dead. Even with his brains blown out, he'd still keep on moving. I could only defeat him by separating his head from the torso with my guillotine, probably. However, in that moment...
Anahatsu, Mizoume, Hinahatsu, Tsukimaki, Kujisashi, Ikihari, Sakahari,
Are you shitting me?
Kusohe,
You've got to be kidding.
そこらの罪との取り分けて生き肌たち死に肌たち白人国民と
I hear two voices.
進み
I definitely heard two voices there. You know what would be problematic? If that guy could activate more than one Achnenerbe. Because he's a fusion of few people, so that would be freaking problem. Anyway, a voice like booming thunder suddenly erupted from the woods. Sakura fixed her eyes on the grove, her face pale as a ghost.
己が母を犯せる罪己が子を犯す罪化け物を犯せる罪青主の災い高津の神の災い
Right, most definitely two voices now.
その鳥の災い他欲しマジモのせし罪
I had no idea what the words were supposed to be, but I could feel their dreadfulness ringing like an erratic chant of sickening taboos. I knew who their voice belonged to and what it would unleash.
草草の罪事は天つ罪金つ罪ここたくの罪でも覚にでもそうそう
Oh shit. The dead man's prayer of defilement echoed across the woods, slowly turning it into a bog of rotten blight.
格差すない失いで罪という罪の嵐
We are fucked. I think we lost. Maybe. I felt something happen to my body as a gust of vicious bloodlust swept across the area with increased ferocity.
なんだこれは
My clothes began to wither and fall apart as my limbs changed in color, the skin peeling off them.
腐っていく
The flow of blood halted my veins. I could no longer hear the sound of my own heart. All strength left my body as I struggled in vain to resist the inexplicable force. The phenomenon reminded me of Wilhelm's night of blood-stained roses, but it was far worse. It exceeded even the very concept of killing. Instead, it turned one's foes into the living dead. A spectral gale transformed all those it touched into beings resembling its undead master. That was bad. Worse than bad. I couldn't possibly hold my own against the freak in this condition. While I was incapacitated by the troubled blind, the culprit of my torment emerged from the woods, his humongous feet trampling over the rotting trees as he moved forward. Had I been imagining things? Even through my clouded vision, the lumbering frame of the giant now seemed like a different man altogether. I staggered out the trajectory of his great sword in haste, yet the slash aimed at my side painted a beautiful arc in the air before changing its trajectory, losing the third of its speed in the process. Powerless against such a brilliant display of expert swordsmanship, I could do nothing but watch as the blade sank to my left shoulder. I'd only failed to think that he didn't kill me right here and then. It carried enough force to break through my shoulder bone and split me in half. But as luck had it, I knew that attack. I saw Kasumi practicing it over and over again back in the day. Phew! Tubalcain followed me with steps swift as lightning while I staggered backwards. Wrestling with confusion and pain alike, despite his colossal frame, he didn't make a sound, and instead shuffled through the ground with the precision of a kendo grandmaster. Could that have been the so-called Shukuchi technique? To cover the distance between you and the enemy simply in an instant, not through speed but by creating an optical illusion by not letting your body and head sway as you advance. In that case, rather than kendo, this was probably more like ancient fencing. Meanwhile, Kain launched his consecutive attacks gracefully, with swift, sharp bites. Knowing that was still the Tubalcain I knew. What on earth happened? Who the hell was I fighting now? I dodged the lightning thrust, catching the blade with my right hand through sheer reflex. I knew full well how dangerous it was to enter direct power struggle with the bastard, but if I followed him to advance any further, he would have eventually scurried me like a hapless animal. I had to seal Kain's movements and catch myself a break to come up with a proper sergeant drill with his new fighting style. However, I could barely believe my eyes. Kain's double-edged great sword seemed to have transformed into a single-edged curved blade. It was still as huge as before, but it now resembled a Japanese sword beyond a shadow of doubt. Another curse escaped Tubalcain's dead lips as we came face to face, striving to push each other's weapons out of the way. A sudden hunch hit me. I still had no idea what exactly just happened, but one thing I knew with absolute clarity. The ridiculous curse that all samurais kept to shoulder was at least partially caused by this piece of shit. The very next moment, the giant katana in my grip began to violently tremble. Uh-oh. I'm worried that my prediction was correct. Oh, for fuck's sake, no! Impossible! Yeah, it is possible. Oh, god damn it. For knowledge, I guess, I reflexively let go of the Thing's weapon, kicking off his giant frame to launch myself into the air, essentially escaping in the process. Yet despite the fact that my actions created a distance large enough that neither of our weapons could reach the other, I felt something, perhaps an arrow, hit me in the shoulder. The bastard changed fighting size again. I crashed to the ground, shot down by that mysterious projectile. A different kind of poison seemed to have invaded my bloodstream, seeping to my bare bones. I could no longer muster the strength to stand. Kind seemed to have changed in some inexplicable subtle way again. I had no idea what was going on anymore. Hell, no being in the world could possess multiple creation figments, and the last time this bastard used it, he turned to lightning. Yet here he was now, using curses to make my body rot away. He had alternate figments of lightning and poison, and could even adjust the latter to affect either a wide area or a specific single target. It felt almost like I'd been fighting 3 people at the same time. Well, wouldn't that make sense to you, actually? I had a feeling it would be like that. I had no idea what the thing was saying, but it sounded like a declaration of death. Kine grinned. Kine's weapon had changed once again. It first went from a broadsword to a curved blade, and now it seemed to have coiled into something resembling a cannon. Tubal Kine pointed a humongous shaft of his new weapon at me. Shit, I had to move. If that thing hit me, As the demon cannon lit up in bright flames, Kine sounded a laugh in a voice of mixed agony and joy. The baffling sight made Kay halt her step. Rather, the fact that she could vaguely suspect what was happening made her confusion even greater. Ren somehow managed to dodge the bullet from the new Kine's weapon, but his position remained far from ideal. With his mobility severely hindered, he would only keep running from bullets, unable to close in until one eventually hit him. He would lose. At this rate, he would eventually die. But what was she to do? How best could she aid him? For one, she could not fight against her own brother. Then there was that deal she made with Ren about not interfering with his battle. A silly question, she knew the answer, but was merely too afraid to admit it. Naive hope lingered within her heart still, and had been doing its best to shut her mind down. Why would they emerge now?
おそらくはハイドリ秘境が近くある影響といったところですかな。
Violet Chief appeared behind her without a sound, but Kay could not bring herself to face him, even after noticing his presence. The second generation Tubal Kine had been fighting Ren right now, as the Tubal Kine of the first generation vanished once their swords clashed. Those two were Kay's great-grandfather and grandmother.
懐かしいですね。もはや会えぬと思ってましたよ。彼らも私の古い戦友。これはこれで嬉しい誤算だ。武蔵の実直さも、レイの奔放さも、私を引きつけてやまなかった。見なさい。
Trifa stroked his chin, an ever-present yet lifeless smile frozen on his lips. In the field, Ren was completely helpless against the onslaught of two alternating kinds.
偽装によるエインフェリアという事態の発端であることを悔やみ、憎み、子々孫々にわたって受け継ぎ浄化させると誓った彼の渇望。その宿業から放逐され、知ったことではないと自由を求めた彼女の渇望。言うなれば継承と天下。言葉にすればまるで正反対に聞こえながらも、その魂、発露の形は哀れなほど似通っている。つまるところ、誰か別のものにかぶせるということです。彼らの想像、実にその通りのものだと思いませんか？敵対すれば非常にたちの悪い類と言える。
ゲイか。
A sinner would wash away both heavenly and earthly sins by carrying them through the realms of Nenokuni, the land of origin. A basic concept of Shinto, standing at the very core of Japanese mysticism. The villagers would elect one for the role of a demon and force everyone's sins upon him, ultimately purifying it by exile. And so it happened that this time, fate chose the bloodline of Sakurai. They had to wander and ultimately disappear to the netherworld, forever exiled from the world of the living. A cross in the shape of the Wellsburg Lungin was forced upon their shoulders.
我々の感性にはない概念であり、恐ろしくも悲哀をかきたてられるシステムですね。実に日本的と言えばよいのでしょうか。まあもっともそこに進んで関わりたがった怖いもの知らずもいたようですがね。
The priest answered Kate's confusion with a meaningful smile. A curl of the lips that seemed to both mock and pity the girl, lamenting her fate.
私が二人いるのに気づかなかったのですか、レオンハルト。カインは三代。内訳は男性、女性、男性なのに、なぜか女性が二人いる。おかしいですね。本来ならありえない。私も最初は気づかなかったし、今もって冗談のようにしか思えない。レイ以外の私とははてさてどこの誰なのやら。
He turned around and started towards the church, not giving another glance to the battle behind him.
どうしましたレオンハルト。そんなところにいても得るものはありませんし、藤井さんの邪魔になるだけですよ。ついてきなさい。お望みならば少し語らいの場でも持ちましょう。
And with those words, Kay finally recalled that confronting the priest was her initial reason for her coming here. She would settle the score regarding everything she knew, as well as all that she did not. Staying in a place like a scarecrow wouldn't get her any closer to fulfilling that goal.
藤井君、
Kay let out a brief pang sigh as she sought and against the battle.
私頑張るから、あなたも。
Did she want him to win or lose? She could not tell. But there was at least one certain hope in her heart.
死なないで。
She believed in him, and in her thoughts begged him to survive. With that final prayer escaping her lips, Kay turned to leave as well. At the same time, a grim premonition budded in her heart, one that heralded no light, only a fast approaching darkness.
さて、それでは何を話しますかね。
Upon reaching the altar, Trifa turned to face Kay.
どうも私は饒舌かと思われがちですが、別段話好きというわけでもありません。必要だと思うことを必要な時に、そうしてきただけですから、言うべきでないこと、意味のないことに時間を割くのは本意でない。まず第一として、私があなたに聞きたいことがあったため、こうした場を設けたのです。
No.
それに答えていただけますか。
はい。
Kay gave him a small nod. Trifa gestured towards the chair, but she ignored him, waiting for the conversation to continue whilst on her feet. The tall priest made a troubled smile.
まあ、おおよその見当はつきますが。レオンハルト、あなたはなぜ今こんなところにいる？
Her legs, obviously.
確かに好きなようにしろとは言った。どう動くのもそちらの自由。だがしかし、少々消せない。
Whatever, never liked you. Who cared?
シュライバー教に襲われたので抵抗したというのとはすでに問題の次元が違いますよ。ザミエル教も無責任なことを言っておられたが、今現在国縁宅の指揮者はこの私だ。反旗を翻すというのであれば、その理由を聞かねばならない。再度問います。レオンハルト。あなたは何を思って今ここにいる？つまらぬ腹芸をする性分でもないでしょう。長いとは言えぬまでもそれなりの付き合いだ。あなたが殺意、いいえ敵意、もしくは疑心というべきか。そういうものを抱き応納していることは容易にわかる。答えなさい、レオンハルト。 意味のわからぬ理由で謀反されては、私もハイドリ秘境に顔向けできない。
ハイドリ秘境に。
The man who started it all, indeed that ought to be clarified first. Kay cast her gaze downwards, then looked back at the point following a moment or two of consideration.
ゲイか。あなたは。いえ、あなたたち。どこまで知っておられたのです。
どこまでとは？
ハイドリ秘境の見業、獣の層が、その言葉の意味するところ。
The truth behind the cursed blessing of the Einherjar.
少なくとも、私はそれを知らなかった。
Had Kay known, she would never have helped them.
ベイもマレウスも他の者も。あなたたちは、そのすべてを知った上で。
Did they all want to be shackled to their cursed master for an eternity? Did they truly wish to force such a fate even upon their loved ones?
であれば、なんです。
Trifa displayed not an ounce of hesitation.
そんなに意外ですか？理解できませんか？あなたの不満と反旗の理由は、そんな程度のことなのですか？資料が浅い。そこが浅い。若いですね。レオンハルト。いくら人種が違うとはいえ、これは少々情けない。ああ。しかし結局のところ、人間などこんなものか。誰しも己の物差しでしか事態を図れず、それが正義だと思い込む。世に戦争が消えぬわけだ。
何を？
栄光あるバルハラ、そこに集うエインフェリア。これは我々にとってごく当たり前の誉れとする価値観だ。あなたたちも、どこぞの社を英霊が集う聖地と崇めているでしょう。これはただ、それだけのこと。
The mythologies of countless cultures include the idea of a paradise existing to quench fallen warriors' thirst for justice. Trifa heaved a long sigh.
我々にとっての安息、人を捨て、人を超え、人を愛した戦記の楽園。それがハイドリ秘境という混沌であっただけのこと。我ら、望みしシャンバラは彼の中に。もともとエインフェリアとはそういうものだ。今
だったら
Kay clashed her chest.
私以外皆がそれを知り納得していたというのですか？黒煙卓でこの私だけが何も知らない子供だったと。
Trifa answered her cry with a smile,
いいえ。
and shook his head in disappointment. As fundamenting her stupidity for lacking the intellect to understand even the most obvious of facts, Trifa could not help but make a resigned smile at the frivolity of man. To think how unable they were to comprehend matters right in front of their eyes, or even ask to correct questions. 3 of them had already turned to the demonic warriors of chaos, only adding insult to injury.
マキナ教、ザミエル教、シュライバー教。彼らは理解が先か納得が先か、問うたこともないし、問おうとも思わぬので、どうでもよいことですがね。なんであれさすがと言うべきでしょう。あのお三方は、自らのあり方を確信して揺るがない。人で。そして私は、早くに気づいていましたよ。ハイドリ秘境という御人、カール・クラフトという異常、彼らの強さ、恐ろしさ、それに付き従うことがどのような結果をもたらすか。
逃げた。
ええ。何もかも放り出して、怖くなったし、悔いもした。まあ結局このざまですが、それは今どうでもいい話。長くなりましたが、レオンハルト、あなたの問いに答えるなら、別にあなただけではないと返すしかない。ベイはおそらく、 知っていてもさほど抵抗せず受け入れたのではないですかね。彼に言わせれば、無限に戦えるなら上等といったところでしょう。それがああいう結果になったのは、そういう星のもとに生まれたのだろうとしか言えませんがね。
Triff uttered the words in a sympathetic tone.
しかし、マレウス、バビロン、彼女らは怪しい。性格の異なる二人ですが、共に怖がり屋である上に、我が強いところは共通している。これもやはり推測ですが、おそらく全てを知れば壊れたのではないでしょうか。彼。
だから殺したのですか？
おや、まるで見ていたように言いますね。まあ否定はしませんが。
Ending her life had been an act of mercy, considering the alternative. The divine vessel shrugged his shoulders, and is as if it was for him to decide matters of life and death.
シュピーネについては、まあいいでしょう。私は彼を飼っていますが、どう判断するかは好き自由に。ああいう者がいてくれて、損よりも得をしたことの方が多いという事実だけ。そしてそれは、あなたにも言えることだ、レオンハルト。いいえ、言えるはずだったと言うべきでしょうか。最初に解せないと言ったのはそういうことです。あなた、なぜここにいる？
At first the question only made Kay from impulsive suspicion, but eventually,
それはなぜ生きているのかということですか？
ええ。レオンハルト・アウグストとは、ヴァルハラとエインフェリアの事実を知れば、自殺するような少女だった。私はそのように仕込んだはずです。あなたはそういうバランスだった。何も気づかぬほど愚かではなく、すべてを知って立てるほど強くもない。よしんば思いとどまっても、その状態で米中尉ないしシュライバー卿、あの二人を前に生きていられることなどあるまいと。
there is a reason for that.
どちらの時も、あの時あなたはすでに死んでいるはずだった。実のところ、驚いています。一体なぜ、この少女は生きているのだ、とね。
Well, did you underestimate her, huh?
この問い、答えていただけませんか、レオン。
私は
Why was she still alive? Why did she survive? Both would have ensured there were opponents far beyond her capacity. She should not have survived a battle against either. She couldn't deny that. Kay felt the chill of death on her skin in each of those fights. But
死ねない理由があったからです。
she had a person she wished to meet, someone whose touch she wanted to feel again.
ベイと戦い生き残れたのはただそれだけ。私はあの時まだ死ぬわけにはいかなかった。たとえ体は砕かれても心だけはと。
Yet even that heart of hers shattered soon after, and she lost her will to live, much like Valerie Triffa had pointed out. At the time she was still the woman Triffa expected to take her own life upon learning the truth.
だから私は殺してほしいと思ったんです。殺してくれと言ったんです。
The revelation extinguished her flames, and so she strayed off her path. She had forgotten why she took up steel in the first place, and had to face her sin of spilling the blood of countless innocents.
でもみんなが私に意地悪だから、誰も言うことなんか聞いてくれない。何も思い通りにさせてくれない。彼は私を殺してなんかくれなかった。
And he did a good thing, kind of.
こんな私を
As a wretch of 1,000 sins and transgressions, the blood of innocence staining her hands a deep hue of crimson. She was a desperate fool that any man would be repulsed by, yet he.
ある意味一番答えることをされましたよ。本当に意地が悪い。
だから
本音を言います。生産杯芸家。
She did not want to be taken light of, and would have loved nothing more than to get back at the young man. She'd show him what she was truly made of. All of that was true. Yet right now she chanced upon the truth hidden beneath the heavy layers of her heart.
私は、桜井圭は、ただ単に、彼の、藤井君の力になりたい。
The prospect of that being her main motivation nearly made her laugh.
あなたは危険な人だから、あなたが彼に手を出す前に。
Before his weak sanctity could hinder Fuji any further.
私があなたを。
倒すと。
Trifa lowered his head, unable to contain his laughter, as it was the most delightful thing he had heard in a long time.
デジャブですね。前にもこんなことがありました。11年前、同じように今のあなたと似たようなことを言ったのは、さて、どこの誰だったやら。
ベアトリス・バルドルート・フォン・キルヒアイズ。
Kay unsheathed her sword and pointed at the priest's neck.
彼女の死は、やはりあなたのせいですか。
さて。
Trifa responded with his usual smile. He cast his gaze at the ceiling, narrowing his eyes as if remembering something.
東方正教会特務分室ドッペルアドラーキルヒアイゼン教は彼らとぶつかり戦死した。私はそうあなたに教えたはずでしょう。確かにかの組織は我が古巣。この身を中罰せんと信仰してきた彼らに対し、彼女が迎え撃って倒れた以上、私のせいでなくもない。だがそれで
おしまいですか、芸家。
But Trifa was not such a simple man. She might have done so before, but she would no longer take his words at face value.
私は、あなたが嫌いでしたよ。
Beatrice lost her life to assassins sent after him. Her brother turned to an abomination forced to borrow the false lance's power. In that sense, the priest, while indirectly participating in their deaths, at one time she even used to hate and resent him. Why did he not save them? Why those two of all people in the world? Why was he not the one to die? She hated herself for allowing such a frivolous, artificially imprinted grudge to cloud her eyes from the real truth of the matter.
こうしてあなたと話し、気づきました。すべて今回と同じだったと。
The priest would choose those aimed to bear the fate of a funk and cut them down, sacrificing them to the cursed altar, like he did with Spinne, or Babylon, or Mallows. And this time it was Kay's turn. That was the truth behind the acting commander of the Obsidian Round Table, the Divine Vessel.
ハイドリヒ教の命か、あなたの意志か。それは知らないしどうでもいい。ただあなたは、すべてを段取り、そうなるように狙った上で二人を死なせた。私にとっては、それだけでいい。
Kay's blade erupted in vivid scarlet, covering the chapel in seething flames.
あなたは哀れな人です、芸家。何を思い、何を願い、何を求めてそうなったのかはわからない。でも、これだけは確実に言える。
His soul reveled in total with monsters, permitting the murder of friend and foe alike. What went on in his head, what he hoped to achieve, was a riddle no sane mind could ever untangle. The priest, much like his master, was the embodiment of chaos. A cancer cell. A whirlpool that consumed everything around it.
あなたは壊れている。
A cracked, empty vessel.
生産杯は壊れている。
これはまた。
Trifa cocked his head to side, unable to contain a smile. His eyes reflect no anger or lament, only deep-rooted bemusement.
いなことを言う。生産杯は壊れない。
You sure about that?
私とあなたと何がどう違うのですかね。リザも似たような反応を昔からしていましたが、我々は似た者同士というやつですよ。
To achieve something, a sacrifice had to be offered first. They would be shaken by doubts and fears, swayed incessantly from one side to another to the point of madness. They were the most human and thus worthy of unconditional affection as they pressed ever onward in their misguided faith and reverence. To call them mad would be the height of folly.
ああ、しかし、あえて違いがあるとすれば一つですか。
In sharp contrast with Kay, ready and eager to strike at any moment, Trifa spread his arms wide and defenseless in front of the girl.
私は実行に移す。こんなところやそんなところで足を止めて振り返り、自らの足跡を悔やむようなことはない。まして、たかが後付けの愛や怒りに心を奪われる無様など。
一度逃げた男がよく言うものです。
And who actually changed sides.
一度逃げたからこそ見えたのですよ。
Eight matters spread it to one seething with anger, the other sporting a soothing and puzzling smile. For knights of the obsidian table, such a distance meant precious little, for they could have pierced the other's throat at a moment's notice. In that sense, Kay, with her sword already unsheathed, had the upper hand. Trevor had yet to form his weapon or even take a fighting stance. However, Kay couldn't quite bring herself to make the first move, finding the superiority of her position more eerie than fortunate.
まあ、ここまで来たのならばせっかくだ。もう一つだけ、あなたの知らぬことを教えましょう。
His eyes, a pair of narrow slits up till now, slowly opened, their blue whirling with black, white, red, green, and gold. Those eyes gazed into the past, belittling it as a fence of no merit.
キルヒアイゼン卿を殺したのは他でもない。あなたの兄上ですよ、レオンハルト。
Eh? By the time Kay recovered from her stupor, the priest already invaded the area right in front of her without ever making a sound.
そんな。
She may have allowed the priest to draw closer, yet her instincts, working almost as an automatic mechanism, still managed to guide her out of harm's way. So that was the answer to the rule of the two maidens. Tubalcain would devour all whom his blade felled. It was not one but many, a legion whose false lance would entrap others, forcing them into the existence of the defective Einherjar. And so the one she thought to be the third generation Tubalcain was in truth the fourth. Not her brother, but the woman he killed. And for 11 long years, her soul had been shackled to this world right beside Kay.
しかり、さにあらばこそ。
Another puzzle. Only the souls of the Sakura family could serve as the core of Kain's being, so how could she, a foreigner, be inside? The answer to the question was, of course, quite evident. Kay felt herself utterly foolish for not realizing it sooner.
彼らは愛し合っていたのでしょ
Well, to me it was obvious, to be honest. I mean, come on. It was obvious. Yes, the two were more likely. No, definitely. Wait, that could not be true. One couldn't really call that love. What they had between themselves was too warped, too disfigured to be called natural affection. Even if they treasured each other, they could never reach a happy ending. Their love had been doomed to end in tragedy from its very conception. What point was there to such a deranged emotion?
ザラトゥストラは現れない。増年金とはまだ幼い。私は言ったはずです。時期尚早だと。
They all thought the transmission world would commence then, 50 years after the war, yet the divine vision denied their hopes.
にもかかわらず、キルヒアイゼン教の独断専行。もはや愚かに過ぎる暴走行為。なぜ彼女が今やらなければならないと断じたのか。
A farce of question, for he knew the answer as well as Kai did. Why else would the priest call him by that name?
あなたをそうしたくないからでしょ
Beatrice most likely couldn't bear the thought of the lance consuming Kai's life, transformed into an abomination that was dead yet still lived. Nor could she let Kai be the next one.
テレジアの年齢を考慮すれば、少なく見積もってもあと10年。あなたは言うまでもなく間に合わず、そしておそらく時代の桜井にまで業は及ぶ。黒煙卓第2位は、あなたを踏み台にした4代目をもって桜井の悲願を成就させることになるでしょう。あなたはそれを防ぎたいと思っている。己の代で決着をつけようと考えている。無論、それ自体悪くはない。あなたがその時まで存在し続け、トバルカインであり続けるなら、4代目は不要に終わる。
If he could continue enduring this form, his sister would never have to take his place, and as long as he guaranteed her a life of happiness, he cared not what befell him.
だが彼女は、そのあなたまで救いたいようだ。
An attempt as unnecessary as it was foolish. He had never asked her for help.
余計なことを、と憤るのも無理はない。実際私も失望しました。誇り高きバルキュリア、ベアトリス・バルトルート・フォン・キルヒアイゼン中尉。黒煙卓の戦記とまで歌われた女丈夫が、まさかこの程度の対局も見えぬ、ただの小娘に過ぎぬとは。ああ、しかし、初めて会った頃の彼女は、思い返すに、そういう拙さを持っていた。終戦後は人が変わったようになりましたから、すっかり忘れていたのですがね。何にせよ、今の彼女は黒煙卓にふさわしくない。ドッペルアドラーなど物の数ではありませんが、獣の僧が、第5位バルキュリア、それを制すとなれば、相応の戦力を必要とする。
And so, he wanted to force the deed on him. Kai did all he could to swallow the desperate cries of his heart.
私なりの慈悲ですよ、カイン。今、あなたの立場はひどく危うい。故に、己こそが黒煙卓の2位であると、証をここに立てなさい。覚悟を形として示しなさい。でなくば、誰も納得せず、連座であなたも処分しなくてはならなくなる。キルヒアイゼン教の愚行と自分は関係ないと証明する必要があるでしょう。拒むならあなたにそれを持つ資格はない。私はどちらでも構いませんよ。なんせ、カインになれる桜井はもう一人いますからね。
待て。
The priest had him cornered. Kai had no options left at this point. But there was one, no, two, which was still lingering in his aging heart, as long as he could fulfill them.
ここに誓え、生産杯。
He himself once told Beatrice not to trust Valeria Trifa, yet here he was now, groveling at the priest's feet in his selfishness.
僕がベアトリスを制したら、彼女の罪を不問にしろ。
That was the only way to preserve her life.
今夜、僕がカインになる。K を代わりになんかさせやしない。
He loved them both more than anything in the world, as such he wished to protect them. And yet, his own actions forced them into the depths of hell. He was an irredeemable piece of filth.
ええ、誓いましょう。私はキルヒアイゼン教に手を出さないし、あのお嬢さんをカインにはしない。
Why did you say that in cursive? Okay, he's lying. In that moment, Kai let out of a sigh of foolish relief. For in his distress, he failed to realize that the true meaning behind the priest's words. A mortal blunder brought about by Sakurai's naivety, one that doomed both himself and those he held dear to a hellish fate. And so her heart burned with unbridled indignation. She loved them both, more than anything in the world. As such, she wished to protect them, they who made her recall her humanity. But it was she who made the initial mistake. Trapped in unending darkness, she spent years trembling with fury. Somewhere deep within her consciousness, she could vaguely feel herself swing something in her hands, crushing it into someone. Cries of pain and the stench of blood reached her from beyond the nether, the omens of war and battle. Almost as if she was fighting someone in this very moment. She tried to act the adult, putting on an air of seniority, yet all she did was unleash a wave of condensed anger. She was an irredeemable piece of filth. Well, she was a beauty, let's face it.
あなたはバカよ。
It was the same as back then.
図に乗って。私に勝てるとでも思ってるの？
She could not bear seeing pain contort his face and cursed herself for being the very cause of it. But she could not stop now. And being the filth she was, she channeled her passion into anger.
子供のくせに余計なことをするんじゃない。私は私の目的があってこうしている。うぬぼれないでよカイ。あなたたちのことなんかただのついでに過ぎないわ。
Half a truth, half a lie. She did indeed have a different goal, but the timing of her rebellion was entirely caused by the situation of those two. She knew that his fate would be sealed if she let this chance slip. So what in the world was she thinking?
どきなさい。今ならまだ許してあげる。
Although she could not tell him the truth, Beatrice had to show him that she was serious. In fact, it could have been for the best if he misunderstood the whole thing. She had to make him believe that she would not hesitate to end his life. If only he would buy into that complete and utter lie, this could end without needless fighting.
わかった。僕も引けないんだよ、ベアトリス。
That was a grave mistake on her part. Kai had been a silent young man, afraid of pain, worried of bloodshed. And in her foolishness, she expected to take advantage of that kindness, of peace, to get her way in this matter. Never realizing that her actions only forced him into a corner.
どうして？
She should have known, she should have realized that much herself. There was only one thing that could drive the normally timid young man to oppose her. In her conceit, she underestimated him, expecting a threat or two to make him back down. To think she would succumb to such naive fantasies, her own idiocy made her wince.
言っただろう。今じゃ僕の方が強いと。
Such was the fatal error committed by a fool known as Beatrice Kircheisen, a blunder that would doom both herself and her loved ones. Neither of them could back down or hold back, hoping to end the battle in a convenient farce. Okay, so we will be back to the fight. Right now let's end the episode because it's that hour that I should be finishing recording, so for now, hope you enjoyed, we learned a bit, and in the next one we'll probably learn a bit more, and we'll see maybe the final battle of this chapter or something like that. Anywho, for now, hope you enjoyed it, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.